There's a Korean master tier Sion player who's completely broken the rules of League of Legends. He's not playing tank Sion, he's not playing AD one-shot Sion. This guy, known as Crazy Driver, has created one of the most cursed Sion mid builds you will ever see. And the craziest part? He came up with it just a few days ago. It's still in its experimental phase. But even in its rough, chaotic form, he's already terrorizing Korean solo queue with it. You'll understand why they call him Crazy Driver once you see how he literally drifts non-stop across the rift. So today we're breaking down how exactly this unhinged Sion mid works, the build, the playstyle, and why it's already shaking up high elo Korea. Crazy Driver used to be a top lane Sion main, your typical tank player, or at least that's what he looked like. To survive against lane bullies like Renekton, Jace, or even Ambessa, he started doing something unusual. He maxed E, took Arcane Comet and rushed Liandry's to poke his opponents from distance. It helped him survive the early game, sure, but top lane in Korea is brutal. Even with poke, he was constantly pressured by aggressive matchups and early jungle dives. So on one of his alternate master accounts, Crazy Driver tried something new, Sion mid. And that's when everything changed. Suddenly he wasn't being punished nearly as hard. Most majors didn't have the mana to bully him for long. And Sion's early game, normally his biggest weakness, became surprisingly manageable. From there, he started realizing how insane his ultimate was from mid lane. Every time it was up, he could roam, set up ganks, or even solo kill squishy mid laners. His ult was applying pressure everywhere, and he knew this was the key. That's when Crazy Driver had his breakthrough moment. If his ult was the most powerful part of Sion's mid playstyle, then why not build entirely around having it up all the time? And that's how this cursed creation was born. Instead of going tank or AD bruiser, Crazy Driver built full ultimate cooldown reduction. A setup completely dedicated to one goal, keeping his ultimate always up. And when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. From mid lane, Sion has quick access to every part of the map. By always having his ult, he can roam bot, crash into top, invade with his jungler, he's literally everywhere at once. And remember, this is still new, he's still experimenting, adjusting items, finding the limits, but even in this early stage, the potential is already ridiculous. Once Crazy Driver realized that Sion's ultimate was the key to dominating mid lane, he built everything around one idea, never letting that cooldown rest. His two core items are Malignance and Axiom Arc, and together they turn Sion into a roaming machine. Malignance gives massive haste on his ult and bursts enemies every time you hit it. And because Sion's Arc can be combined with his Q, the CC chain lasts forever and the enemies keep getting burned by the circle. Then comes Axiom Arc, which refunds a big chunk of your ultimate cooldown every time you score a takedown. So what happens when we combine the two? You get a Sion who can literally spam ult, crash mid, kill someone, and 20 seconds later he's already diving bot. And the crazy part is that his build actually deals damage. Malignance's burn, the AP scalings on his E and W, and the lethality from Axiom Arc mean every fight he joins, he hurts. From there, the rest of his build gets unpredictable, and that's part of the fun. Sometimes he doubles down on survivability with tank items. Other times he adds weird utility picks like Zeke's Convergence for extra slow zones, or even Michael's Blessing when facing heavy CC comps. It's chaotic, it's messy, but it fits his playstyle perfectly. Every game he adapts. The only constant is that his ultimate is always ready. When other Sion players wait for opportunities, Crazy Driver creates them, using his insane map pressure and low ultimate cooldown to keep the enemy team permanently on edge. In the early laning phase, most mages don't have the mana or sustained damage to truly punish Sion, and Crazy Driver takes full advantage of that. He always starts Doran's Ring, giving him a bit of AP, sustain, and mana regen to spam E for poke. If the matchup is rough, he'll buy an early null magic mantle or cloth armor. These small defensive buys help him survive those first few levels without dropping waves. His early game plan is simple. Wait for his W shield before walking up to last hit, poke when there's a safe window, and trade only on his terms. He's perfectly fine dropping a few CS if it means avoiding a bad trade. It's all about staying alive and scaling into his power spike. With Comet and Emax, he constantly chips away his opponents, forcing them to burn potions or play back. It's slow, it's methodical, but it's effective. And even though this build makes him squishier, his W shield scales with AP, so every point of ability power, including from Malignus later, actually adds to his survivability. What makes this style so effective is how safe it is. He doesn't overextend, he doesn't coin flip trades, he just waits for level 6, because once that ultimate unlocks, Sion's entire role changes. From that point onward, the lane becomes a launchpad, a central point from which Crazy Driver starts terrorizing the entire map. Once Crazy Driver finishes his 2 core items, Malignus and Axiom Arc, the fun begins. This is Sion's transformation moment. His ultimate cooldown drops to absurd levels, and every fight he wins just gives it back even faster. He doesn't walk to fights anymore, he drifts into them. Malignus keeps burning enemies long after the initial impact, and every takedown procs Axiom Arc, refunding his ult almost immediately. It creates this endless cycle of carnage. Ult, kill, refund, repeat. And this is where the name Crazy Driver finally makes sense. He's literally drifting around the rift non-stop. Mid 1 minute, bot the next, then somehow appearing top for a counter gank. Any fight, anywhere on the map, he can be there in seconds. Against immobile teams, it's pure chaos. Against mobile ones, it's still pressure. They have to constantly watch their minimap, because hearing this sound effect could mean instant death. By this point, Crazy Driver has redefined playing Sion, turning what used to be a slow, tanky top laner into a roaming juggernaut that never stops moving. So the question is, how does something this cursed actually work? Why is this weird Sion mid build finding success, specifically in Korean solo queue? Well, Korean solo queue is chaos, but it's organized chaos. Games are fast, players constantly fight for priority, and rotations happen almost every minute. It's an environment where tempo and map impact matter way more than raw laning strength. And that's exactly where Crazy Driver Sion thrives. Mid lane gives him direct access to both sides of the map, and his ultimate, on a near permanent cooldown, turns him into a one-man roaming machine. Every time the enemy team commits to a skirmish, Sion comes flying in at full speed, turning a potential 2v2 into a 3v2. In solo queue, that kind of map presence wins games. It doesn't matter if you're behind CS or down a plate. What matters is showing up first and more often. And because Korean players love constant fighting, Crazy Driver Sion fits perfectly into that ecosystem. He's always moving, always creating action, always forcing mistakes. It's unconventional, it's ugly, and breaks every rule, but that's exactly why it works here. In a religion built on speed and aggression, Crazy Driver found a way to weaponize chaos itself. So that's Crazy Driver, the Korean Sion mid player who turned a slow, tanky top laner into a drifting map-dominating monster. His build is cursed, it shouldn't work, yet it does. And honestly, that's what makes League so fun. Players like Crazy Driver remind us that no champion is ever truly figured out. There's always someone crazy enough to break the rules and make it work. Don't forget to check Crazy Driver's YouTube channel. This guy is like a Korean boss, link in the description. So what do you think? Is Crazy Driver just a troll who got a bit lucky? Or is he truly into something? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the breakdown, drop a like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned for more off-meta stories. This was White Llama, see you in the next one, and remember, never stop drifting.